Hello everybody, John here, and today onto the garage I'm working on steel. Now I've been doing a little bit of work off camera, but before any of you think I'm cheating on you, let me explain. So, if you watched the last video, Sapphire is now mobile. She dumped all the fuel on me, nasty. But she is mobile, so I can get her out of the garage, no problem. Steel, we still don't know what sort of condition it's really in, because until I can look underneath, I'm not going to pronounce on it. But same problem, you know, fuel pump failure, alleged, means that this is going nowhere. With this car, I really will have to take the fuel tank out. A, it's half out anyway, but B, I know what state it's in inside. The lid has been off for 10 years, this. Maybe it hasn't been off for 10 years, but it looks like it's been off for 10 years. What's inside is evaporated fuel, which is turned back to oil, basically. It's an absolute mess. So if I fix it, you know, all it's going to do is pump nasty stuff straight into its filter, ruin the filter and block it up. So it's going to have to come out. But to take the fuel tank out, you have to disconnect the two fuel lines, which are a real pain. But, you know, we'll be able to do it. And the connections are underneath the car. Now to do that out here is another pain. Yes, I can jack it up, put it on axle stands, but I'm on gravel, so you know, there's all sorts of precautions. What would be far better is if I could jerry rig it to run. If you're not in the UK, jerry rig means lash up, MacGyver it, to run just long enough that I can get it off this bit of gravel and back it into the garage. It's got an additional issue, which is when me and my brother pushed this back to here, it was never intended to sit how it is, but the handbrake is stuck on. So pushing it back, which is slightly uphill on gravel, it's just not happening with no power steering and all the rest of it. So in an ideal world, this is going to start for 2 minutes, and then I can drive it off the gravel, back it into the garage, take the tank out, sort it properly. So we're going a different route. So what have I been doing with that? Yeah, well, as I say, the top's already off this tank. I've been playing inside the tank, through the boot aperture and through the hole above, and cutting my arms and really getting upset and swearing a lot. There's nothing I can do to film it. And I've managed to get to the point where I've hoiked the fuel pump out of the tank. I say out, it's still attached to the fuel line and the wiring. It's not well lit in here, but you can see the absolute mess and why this, the tank is going to have to come out to be given a flush as a minimum. So yeah, what I'm going to do now is I think I'm going to grab some rubber gloves, try to get the hose off that pump and the wiring off that pump, and then maybe we can jerry rig a new pump on the wiring with a longer piece of pipe in a bucket in the boot. Yeah, it's not clever, but it might work. Oh. Pipe off. That's a good start. Let's get this wire off finally. Just couldn't get where I needed to get my hands to grip the connector. I don't know how to get that connector off. Let's get some pliers, give it a squeeze. Just take a look at my gloves, by the way. They were clean until I started touching this pump. Got it. Tab had broke off the bit you were meant to squeeze. Oh gosh. Well, that is the pump. Absolutely disgusting. Brings me to a good recommendation. If you're going to leave your car unused for a long period, consider filling the tank with fuel. It'll stop the inside of the tank rusting, and should it accidentally get left for years, there's a little bit more of a chance, but it won't have fully evaporated. Turn to this. Obviously there's no sock on the end of there. I'm not even sure if this is part of the sock, like the adapter. I think there. Yep. So that was the sock adapter. Oh. Wow. I've never seen anything like it. I mean, it's literally crude oil. I mean, it's almost possible to say this car has been sabotaged. You know, somebody's put something in the tank. It's incredibly unlikely, but about as likely as full tank of fuel in there turned into crude oil in 10 years. Ugh. Well, anyway, it's plain that's not going to run. But we do have a brand new one for the right model year. I think what we'll do is we'll go and see if the wiring and relays and everything else in that car are capable of running a fuel pump. All right, with all that connected up, flick my test relay again. Yes. So, we have the ability to pump fuel. So next, have a look up here. The pipe I disconnected from the pump just about reaches the top of the tank. What I need to do is put an extension piece on that so I can link it to the pump. I'll be back. go. Get the connector clip on. It's not fuel grade pipe or anything. So, right. Now, for this to work, I'm kind of relying on a lot of things. First of all, I'm relying on the fact that the car broke down because the pump failed 10 years ago when there was nice fuel in here. So the fuel line going out the back of the tank and the fuel filter isn't full of crude oil. Because if it is, game over. We'll have to strip the whole system out. Also, the way these systems work, the pump lifts the fuel, pushes it down the pipe to the engine. The engine uses what it wants and spills where it doesn't past the pressure relief valve straight back to the tank. So the bucket of fuel I put here will empty very fast. So I don't have too long to sort things out. So I think what I'll do is I'll try a test fire up, then turn it off and sort everything so that I'm ready to make the manoeuvre. He says in a very positive way. Nothing may happen at this stage, but we've got to assume it's all going to go well. Now this in itself is filthy fuel, but in the grand scheme of things, I'm not going to worry. So this fuel pump should have a filter on the bottom, a sock, but again, I don't think we need to concern ourselves with such minutiae at this stage. I've got myself in a tangle. There we go. Yeah, I think my description of jerry-rigging and MacGyvering is proving very apt at this stage. Okay. So, I might as well use my special relay to prime the system for a few seconds, just to see if we're going to pump fuel. If it won't go up the pipe, then it's because things are blocked. Here we go. Excellent. Right. So I reckon I've got only a minute's worth of fuel there, if that. So what I'm going to do now is remember to swap your relay. The car will not run with a test relay in because it's not able to turn it on. Again, if you're interested in that and its usefulness, I did a video as a Christmas present to everybody a couple of years back on how to make one. So that will cost you pennies. So useful. Woo. We've got possibilities. I may already have underestimated how long that fuel will last. Let's pop the vanity covers off the engine. Now this being a later car than I'm used to, has a different fuel system. So I'm learning as we go. So the fuel rail on old cars comes in, runs along to a Schrader valve over here, and then goes back that way. Ah! There's our Schrader valve on this one. Now we found the blue cap, which is the Schrader valve for fuel pressure, just there. What I'm going to do is just get a little screwdriver. In fact, I'll get a little spanner, keep my face well out of the way, and just see if we're getting any pressure. Yes is the answer. So we got fuel reaching the injectors. Very good news. Maybe there's no return on this car. Now, I know some cars, the 4.2s, don't have a return line, but I'm aware that the 4 litres run without a return line. I can definitely see 2 fuel lines. Ah, okay. They cross over there in such a way that I couldn't really see. So, yeah, it flies round there, past there, and then that is the return fuel line. Okay, now what I've got here is a fuel line release kit for a Jag. If you haven't got one of these, very useful tool to have. It's how I'm going to get the fuel tank off. They're just little plastic clips, but if you haven't got one, it makes everything very difficult. They release the type of fuel lines that we have on our Jags. So this is, I hope, the return line going into this connector. If I pop this on the pipe and I push it into there, it will release. This is flexi, that pipe from there, and I should be able to monitor the fuel on the return line. Now I pressed the Schrader valve, so I've released a little bit of pressure, which is a good thing. I'm going to do the same again. So now all I do is I take this and I push it into this connector. If it won't go, just turn it a little bit. It's tough enough to suggest there's a lot of pressure behind it still. I can't see it, but surprising. So I shall have to leave this for a moment or two before I run it. Okay. Ah, there we go, it's gone in now. withdraw it, stick it back in again, different position. It essentially pushes some barbs in the connector out, allowing the pipe to be released. There we go, we're off. There we go. So let's take this off before we lose it. I got a piece of soft tubing that will push nicely over the flange on here, giving me enough of a seal because I shan't be sealing the end off, so there shouldn't be any pressure. And we've got a container which we can use to collect the fuel. So what I'm going to do now is just turn the ignition on. It should give me 3 seconds of pumping. See if that's going to work. Stopping the fuel, keep going back to the tank. Right, did any come out? No fuel. Try again. Ah yes, we are getting fuel. And the fuel appears relatively clean. Ooh. Let's go for a attempted start. Feels like we've got a car that will run, but might have a very gummed up fuel system. Okay, so you must be trying to start it a few times. Camera turned itself off. Pretty sure it flooded. So what I've done, I was holding the throttle wide open, which should stop the fuel pump, but evidence of my catch can on the bonnet is, no, it wasn't. So what I've done is I've taken the fuel pump out, fuel pump relay out, so that I can crank it knowing that there's no fuel being pumped, and I can see there's no fuel being pumped. And we'll give it one more go in a moment. That was no fuel pump again. So I'm going to give it a go with the fuel pump. And then we're probably out of battery at that stage. Wish us luck. It feels very close, but I also feel it's probably the right place to leave it for today. And that's not me teasing you. Or charge up a couple of batteries. Then the car sit for a while would be good. I could do getting some fresh fuel. The fuel that I'm using is fuel that got pumped out of Sapphire. So probably not the best, but it, it works, it runs the car. We're getting closer. As I say, the reason for doing what I'm doing is I can get the car started, then I can put it in the garage. If I can put it in the garage, I can work out what's wrong other than not starting. And then take a real considered view on how we approach these two vehicles. So I hope you're enjoying this, and I'll see you again real soon on to the garage. Bye. If you're interested in any of the gadgets, gizmos and tools that I use in my videos, then very often I'll put a link to relevant items in the description below the video, but you can also go to amazon.co.uk/shop/to-the-garage, and that will give you the To The Garage storefront. These are not things I'm selling, it's just a link to all of the Amazon based items that I've bought over the years which are relevant to the channel. Nice little feature, thank you very much Amazon. If you're enjoying our channel, then don't forget to subscribe and click the little bell icon so you get notifications of new videos.